His games cancelled.
Invictus Games organisers delighted that one Meghan Markle didn't show up for the big one-year countdown in Birmingham.
It's not only a problem for his brand, it's a problem for the marriage.
How many times have I told you don't be a...
If I was Harry, I'd be lying awake at night.
I thought that you would want a little bit more stardust than Prince Harry and his weird PDA with Alison Hammond, but no. There is a real desire within the Invictus Games to move the sideshow away from it becoming the Markle Games.
The games were born more than a decade ago from a promise that I made to myself. A promise to uphold my obligation, a sacred obligation after my own decade and privilege of military service. To do whatever I could to help my fellow brothers and sisters heal, and to champion everything that we stand for.
The future of Prince Harry's Invictus Games is suddenly facing a level of uncertainty that very few people ever expected to see. The project that helped rebuild Harry's public image gave him a renewed sense of purpose and preserved one of the last meaningful connections to his royal years is now surrounded by reports of financial strain, sponsors stepping away, and growing concerns that the Birmingham 2027 Games could be scaled back, postponed, or in the worst-case scenario, cancelled altogether. Just when Harry desperately needed one positive week to show the world that Invictus still carries real momentum, Meghan Markle was absent from the biggest public event connected to the Games. Reports even suggested some staff members were relieved she was not there. Yet, despite that, the headlines were once again dominated by the ongoing Sussex story instead of the athletes or the mission behind the event. This is not another podcast that quietly fades away after disappointing numbers.
Harry's the ambassador, he's the face of it, but it's really about the veterans and their families. So I think that's what they need to keep in mind. The thing about Harry is, of course, headlines are great, but they don't always generate sponsorship. In fact, sometimes the wrong headlines.
For next year's Birmingham Games. But they would only release that money if Invictus raise enough money for the Games to go ahead. So currently, the UK government has given them approximately 3 million quid of that underwritten 26, which means Invictus have got to raise a lot of money between now and next year for the Games to go ahead in its entirety. And it doesn't seem like it's doing too well.
I'm so able-bodied, you know, in my revealing white trouser suit. My husband! And that's a big, big problem and controversy in the past about Meghan's behaviour at the parade when she's like leading the group of veterans. Why is she leading that parade? What's she done with her body that works perfectly? Oh, look at me!
And it is not a lifestyle brand that can slowly disappear from a website without much attention. Invictus represents something much bigger for Harry. It remains the one project that even many of his strongest critics have acknowledged because it shines a spotlight on wounded, injured, and sick service personnel. At least, that is the mission Invictus publicly presents and continues to promote. If Invictus begins to struggle in a serious way, Harry stands to lose far more than another public engagement. He risks watching the final major platform that still presents him as a leader, instead of simply another celebrity caught in an endless cycle of royal family headlines. Reports suggest the financial pressure has become serious enough that cancellation is now part of the conversation, and that alone has people paying close attention. You rarely hear the word cancelled linked to a major international event.
The organisers were delighted. He writes, Prince Harry arrived in Birmingham without Meghan Markle by his side, and insiders tell Naughty But Nice that behind the scenes, some Invictus Games organisers quietly welcomed the last-minute change. Meghan had been expected to attend the one-year countdown celebration but pulled out just days before the event. Harry ultimately flew solo, and sources say his solo appearance made for a smoother, more relaxed day. There was a sense of relief backstage, one insider said. Meghan's appearances often require, this is an understatement, far more coordination. Her visits usually involve extra security meetings, tighter schedules, and constant last-minute adjustments, the source explains. With Harry on his own, everything is refreshingly straightforward. The team can focus on delivering a great event instead of managing endless logistics and drama.
Unless people behind the scenes are genuinely questioning whether the financial picture can still come together and whether the long-term plans remain realistic. The British government has committed to underwriting the Birmingham Games with support of up to £26 million. That sounds like a huge amount, but it does not automatically mean every challenge disappears. The event still depends on commercial backing, reliable business partnerships, and companies that remain confident enough to associate their names and reputations with the Games. That naturally brings Meghan Markle into the discussion because her place in this story is much more complicated than simply saying she was not present. Meghan had originally been expected to appear during the Birmingham Countdown event, but those plans reportedly changed, leaving Harry to handle the public appearance on his own. On the surface, organisers could easily have viewed that as disappointing. Meghan attracts cameras, celebrity coverage, fashion headlines, and worldwide attention whenever she appears in public.
When Harry comes alone, the focus stays exactly where he wants it, on the veterans, not on the media frenzy that can surround a royal couple. Everyone could relax and let the event shine. A second source says Harry has earned a reputation as one of the easiest high-profile guests organisers work with. He's incredibly low maintenance, the insider says. He'll happily change plans, stay alone with athletes, and go wherever he's needed. The whole atmosphere feels lighter when it's just Harry.
She couldn't even just show up to be in the background, to not make a fuss, to just be low maintenance, because she couldn't do all of those things. You know, they had to be, happy that she didn't even show up. And, Meghan, this would have been a great opportunity for her. It would have been great for Harry to be able to bring in his family. And it is quite sad that his life is in such chaos and disorder that he can't even be alongside his wife with the children, which would make it so much more nicer, I believe.
When an event is working hard to secure funding and strengthen confidence, losing one of its most recognizable public figures would naturally seem like another difficult challenge, especially at such an important moment for its future. Reports attributed to people familiar with the preparations suggest that not everyone involved with Invictus viewed Meghan Markle's absence as bad news. According to those claims, some organisers were actually relieved that she did not attend. They reportedly felt Harry's solo appearance was smoother, calmer, and much easier to coordinate because the focus stayed on the veterans instead of the constant media frenzy surrounding the Sussexes. Harry was reportedly seen as flexible, approachable, and relatively easy to work with, while Meghan's appearances were said to involve additional security planning, tighter scheduling, and more last-minute coordination. If those accounts are accurate, that is a remarkable assessment from behind the scenes and one that immediately caught attention.
Why should Boeing and other sponsors pump millions in when they're going to be associated with a couple who the public don't like? Who the public don't trust, who often the public don't believe. On the last show, we talked about this war of words with the palace. Did they offer Harry accommodation? Did they not? He said, she said. There's no money. All the other charities were a disaster. Invictus is Harry. Harry is Invictus.
Yeah.
And you're telling me it could be cancelled.
Could be.
I promise you, other than some physical problem like illness or whatever, this is the worst thing that could happen to Harry.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this with any kind of glee. I think Invictus is a great.
I'm so happy.
Imagine being connected to an event searching for more public attention and high-profile support, only for people working behind the curtain to reportedly feel more comfortable when you are not part of the program. That is hardly a compliment disguised as a scheduling adjustment. Instead, it suggests some organisers may believe Meghan brings publicity, but also an extra wave of distractions they simply cannot afford while trying to keep the spotlight where they want it. Invictus needs headlines centred on the competitors, their recovery, resilience, determination, and the families supporting them. It does not need another news cycle dominated by Meghan's wardrobe, security arrangements, reported requests, or endless debate over whether she overshadowed Harry during an appearance. None of this proves Meghan created the financial difficulties facing the Games. There has been no confirmed statement from Boeing placing responsibility on her, and no official Invictus representative has publicly claimed she caused sponsors to leave. Saying otherwise would go beyond the available information. Even so, the public optics remain extremely difficult and continue to spark discussion. Organisers are still publicly encouraging businesses to register their interest, showing that the effort to secure financial backing is very much ongoing. Time continues to pass. Birmingham 2027 is drawing closer, and the questions surrounding funding are becoming harder to ignore. Then came the development that reportedly pushed concern to an entirely different level. Boeing, a major supporter of previous Invictus Games, has reportedly decided not to back Birmingham 2027. Losing a globally recognized company at this stage is far more significant than a routine sponsorship change. It is exactly the kind of development that could leave other potential sponsors asking the same uncomfortable question. What convinced Boeing to step away? Why did it choose not to continue? More importantly, who will fill the financial gap, international reach, and credibility that such a well-known company was believed to bring to the event? Invictus was the reason Harry returned to the United Kingdom for the official one-year countdown before Birmingham 2027. This was supposed to be the perfect opportunity to promote the upcoming games, encourage veterans, inspire major companies to get involved, and remind everyone why Invictus still matters. Instead, the event itself struggled to remain the main story before Harry had even completed the visit, allowing fresh questions and controversy to dominate the conversation once again. One controversy after another quickly took over the conversation. The court setback dominated headlines. Questions about royal accommodation flared up again. The long-running security debate returned to the spotlight. Meghan's absence became a major talking point, and even reports of a private family reunion generated another wave of media attention. Once again, the Sussexes appeared to arrive with one objective, yet the personal drama surrounding them overshadowed almost everything else connected to the visit. Think about how damaging that kind of situation could be for an event trying to persuade companies to commit millions of pounds in support. Sponsors are not simply paying to place their logo on banners or promotional material. They are investing in stability, positive publicity, and a story they can proudly share with customers, employees, and business partners. Harry undoubtedly attracts attention wherever he goes, but attracting attention is not automatically the same as building confidence or trust. As one royal commentator put it, headlines can be valuable, but the wrong headlines can actually deter sponsors. Harry may dominate newspaper front pages for days, yet still struggle to generate the one thing Invictus reportedly needs most at this stage: companies willing to sign sponsorship agreements and provide long-term financial backing. That possibility should be deeply concerning, because Invictus is not simply one project among many successful ventures associated with Harry. Several of his entertainment partnerships have faced criticism, been scaled back, or gradually faded from public attention over time. Centerbile experienced a very public and bitter split. African Parks has faced serious allegations involving local communities, while Harry remained publicly linked to the organisation. Archewell has gone through multiple changes in direction and structure over the years. Invictus continues to stand as the one major initiative where Harry can still walk into a room and immediately point to a mission that many people continue to respect and admire. At precisely the moment reports suggest Invictus is working hard to secure enough funding, claims from insiders have also suggested that operations felt smoother when Meghan was not present. Whether those reports fully reflect reality or not, they create a question that potential sponsors are almost certain to notice, even if the Sussexes never publicly respond to it. Is Meghan ultimately a strength for Invictus, or has the event become increasingly tied to the constant celebrity attention surrounding her? Does her global profile help attract the audience that businesses hope to reach, or does it unintentionally shift attention away from the veterans the Games are designed to honour? Can organisers benefit from the Sussex name while still keeping every appearance centred on the competitors instead of the couple themselves? Those are no longer questions limited to celebrity gossip. When millions of pounds are still being sought, those discussions become serious business considerations with potentially significant consequences. Harry's appearance without Meghan also brought another side of the debate into sharper focus, raising fresh questions that organisers and potential supporters may now find much harder to ignore. Even without Meghan Markle attending, the event still struggled to dominate the international news cycle in the way a major fundraising effort would have hoped. The day included warm moments with veterans, sporting demonstrations, and positive interactions, yet those stories were quickly overshadowed by renewed attention on the court case, Buckingham Palace, reports of a family reunion, and another round of discussion surrounding the Sussexes. Invictus may have stepped away from the intense focus on Meghan for a few hours, but it still could not avoid the much wider spotlight surrounding Harry's entire visit. That highlights the difficult position Harry now appears to face. When Meghan attends, critics argue that the couple risks shifting attention away from Invictus and toward themselves. When she does not attend, her absence becomes a major headline of its own, while Harry also loses some of the celebrity appeal that supporters believe can attract cameras, publicity, and potential sponsors. Whenever their children are mentioned publicly, conversations often shift towards security. Whenever Buckingham Palace enters the discussion, attention quickly turns to possible reconciliation. Whenever Harry appears in court, the legal dispute becomes the dominant story. No matter which direction events seem to take, the Sussex brand repeatedly appears to become the centre of attention instead of the cause they say they want to highlight. Harry also cannot reasonably place every development at the feet of the British press. He knew this countdown was approaching well in advance. He knew Birmingham 2027 needed a strong and focused launch heading into its final year. He knew businesses and potential partners would be paying close attention. Yet his return unfolded alongside a high-profile legal battle, a strongly worded reaction following the court decision, uncertainty surrounding his accommodation, continued questions about Meghan's attendance, and ongoing speculation about possible meetings with members of the royal family. If Invictus truly remains the highest priority, some observers naturally wonder why the visit became dominated by another long stretch of Sussex-related controversy instead of the athletes and the mission itself. Those questions now carry financial implications because companies are extremely careful about where they choose to invest millions of pounds. Businesses generally prefer predictable events, clear messaging, and leadership that consistently keeps public attention centered on the cause rather than unrelated distractions. A sponsor is unlikely to want its brand associated with an international competition honoring veterans, only to see its involvement overshadowed by stories about legal disputes, palace briefings, family disagreements, or reports claiming organisers were relieved that Meghan was absent. The Sussexes may view constant headlines as evidence that they continue to command worldwide attention. A company evaluating the same coverage could reach a very different conclusion and decide the uncertainty creates more risk than opportunity. That is why reports surrounding Boeing's reported departure carry significance well beyond the loss of a single recognizable sponsor, raising broader questions about future confidence and long-term commercial support. A noticeable change in the list of reported supporters has added even more questions to the future of the Invictus Games. Boeing backed previous editions of the competition, including the Vancouver Whistler Games, but reports indicate the company will not be supporting Birmingham 2027. Its decision may have nothing to do with Prince Harry or Meghan Markle. Large companies regularly adjust budgets, change business strategies, and shift sponsorship priorities. Even so, Harry cannot ignore how that sequence of events is likely to be viewed from the outside. A major sponsor reportedly steps away. Organisers continue searching for financial support. Reports discussing possible cancellation begin circulating, and the founder spends much of his visit to the United Kingdom dealing with issues unrelated to the veterans. Harry's supporters will point out that his commitment to Invictus has remained genuine, and there are reasons many people continue to believe that. He has often appeared comfortable with competitors, remembered personal stories, taken part in activities, and spoken with warmth and enthusiasm that many observers say is less visible when conversations turn toward the royal family or disputes involving the media. People closely connected with Invictus have praised the dedication, energy, and personal attention Harry brings to the event. That is exactly why the current situation feels so frustrating. Many believe Harry is at his strongest when his attention remains fixed on the veterans, yet his appearances are repeatedly surrounded by unrelated stories that compete with the very people the Games are intended to honor. One commentator argued that Harry should do everything possible to prevent the Games from ever facing cancellation. That was not simply dramatic television language. From that perspective, it represents the basic expectation placed on the individual whose name has become closely associated with the entire movement. Harry cannot afford to treat Birmingham as just another engagement listed in his diary. If the reported funding concerns are real, he may need to spend significant time meeting business leaders, speaking directly with company executives, rebuilding confidence, explaining the financial plans, and showing potential sponsors exactly how their support would benefit the event. That also means taking on the demanding work of fundraising rather than assuming that his royal background or emotional speeches alone will persuade every company to get involved. Then attention naturally turns to Meghan. If Invictus is genuinely one of their shared priorities, some observers ask whether she could use her professional contacts, media relationships, or business network to help introduce new sponsors. Others wonder whether remaining behind the scenes is viewed as the better approach if reports claiming organizers preferred a simpler event without her are accurate. If she returns for future games, will the focus remain on the competitors, or will public attention once again shift toward the Sussexes themselves? Every possible path appears to create new challenges, yet many would argue that taking no action at all could become the greatest challenge of all. A polished photo opportunity alone would not solve deeper financial concerns. There is also the possibility that the Games could continue, but in a reduced form. Some commentators have suggested that shortening the schedule, reducing accommodation, or scaling back certain parts of the event could become options if additional funding cannot be secured in time. Nothing has been officially confirmed about cuts, delays, or cancellation, but the fact that these possibilities are now part of the public conversation shows how much pressure has built around Birmingham 2027. The biggest question is no longer whether Invictus remains an inspiring idea. The question is whether the complete vision can actually be delivered without significant new financial support arriving before time runs out. Even if the Games continue in a reduced format, they would still provide an important opportunity for veterans. At the same time, many observers would see a scaled-back event as evidence that Harry's most meaningful project had fallen well short of the ambitions it once inspired. Perhaps the hardest part of this entire situation is that the competitors themselves played no role in creating any of these controversies. They did not become involved in disagreements between the Sussexes and Buckingham Palace. They did not criticise judges or become part of legal disputes. They did not create ongoing debates surrounding security arrangements, family, relationships, or media coverage. They certainly did not ask for every major trip connected to Invictus to become overshadowed by questions about Harry and Meghan instead of the athletes. The competitors trained for years. Many overcame life-changing injuries, enormous physical challenges, and deeply personal struggles to reach this stage. Their families stood beside them through recovery, rehabilitation, and countless sacrifices that often went unnoticed. Those are the stories Invictus was created to celebrate. If Birmingham were ever forced to shrink or face cancellation, those athletes and their families would carry the greatest emotional burden, while public attention inevitably shifted toward the next Sussex interview, business venture, documentary, or headline-making appearance. Harry returned to Britain with what many believed was an opportunity to strengthen the future of Invictus. Instead, By the end of the visit, much of the conversation had focused elsewhere. Headlines centered on the court decision, his reaction to the judgment, confusion surrounding accommodation, renewed discussion about security arrangements, reports of a private meeting with King Charles, Meghan's absence from the public event, and claims that some staff felt operations were easier without her. The countdown event for Birmingham certainly took place, but much of the worldwide attention once again followed the Sussex story instead of the competition itself. For an organisation still seeking financial backing, that is a difficult position to be in because sponsors generally hope the mission, not unrelated controversies, remains the main attraction. The one-year countdown was supposed to reassure supporters that Birmingham 2027 was moving confidently toward opening day. Instead, it also created another countdown, one filled with questions that remain unanswered. How much funding has actually been secured so far? How many major sponsors are still considering involvement? How much financial uncertainty remains behind the scenes? If a significant gap still exists several months from now, what options will organisers realistically have? Would additional public funding even be considered? Would the Games need to reduce their overall scale? Could Harry personally help attract new financial supporters? Or will everyone continue presenting an optimistic picture until difficult decisions can no longer be delayed? Those are practical questions rather than dramatic ones, and they become increasingly important as preparation continues. Many commentators believe Harry is now facing perhaps the biggest challenge of his post-royal life. This is no longer about another interview, another legal dispute, or another documentary explaining his perspective. The focus has shifted toward whether he can successfully protect an organisation that means far more than his personal public image. Invictus cannot rely only on emotional speeches, inspiring memories, or the goodwill it built during previous games. Like every major international sporting event, it also depends on detailed planning, responsible management, reliable partnerships, and enough financial support to meet its commitments. Those realities exist regardless of who serves as its public face. If Harry wants Invictus to remain strong for years to come, many believe the priority must become keeping the athletes and the mission at the centre of every conversation. That means reducing distractions whenever possible and rebuilding confidence among companies considering long-term support. Meghan also faces important questions within this broader discussion. If reports suggesting some organisers preferred a lower-profile event without her are accurate, she has several possible responses. She could publicly reject those claims, she could ignore them entirely, or she could demonstrate through future appearances that she is fully capable of supporting Invictus while allowing the competitors to remain the clear focus of public attention. She could help behind the scenes by supporting fundraising efforts, strengthening professional relationships, or encouraging new business partnerships without making herself the centre of every headline. She could show that meaningful support does not always require the brightest spotlight or the largest media moment. Actions like those would likely speak much louder than public statements alone. On the other hand, if every future appearance continues to generate more discussion about the Sussexes than the veterans, critics will almost certainly continue asking whether the balance has shifted away from the mission Invictus was created to serve. That leaves Harry facing an important decision over the coming year. Does he continue allowing legal disputes, reconciliation stories, and endless speculation surrounding his private life to dominate public attention? Or does he place nearly all of his energy into strengthening Birmingham 2027, expanding sponsor confidence, and making sure the competitors receive the recognition they deserve? If Invictus truly represents the work that defines his public life, then many observers believe the priorities from this point forward will matter more than any interview or public statement. The challenge is not simply raising additional money. It is rebuilding confidence, keeping the focus on the athletes, and ensuring the mission remains larger than the personalities connected to it. If Birmingham succeeds, the conversation could quickly shift back toward resilience, recovery, and achievement. If it struggles, however, the questions surrounding leadership, funding, and long-term sustainability will almost certainly grow even louder. Should that happen, it would become increasingly difficult to describe every criticism as simply another media controversy. The discussion would inevitably turn toward whether enough had been done to protect the project itself. Invictus gave Harry a renewed sense of purpose during one of the most difficult periods of his life. The challenge now is whether he can provide that same level of commitment, stability, and protection to Invictus at a moment when the organisation may need it most. What do you think? Is Birmingham 2027 genuinely facing a difficult financial challenge, or do you believe the pressure surrounding sponsorship has been overstated? Does Prince Harry still strengthen Invictus by bringing worldwide attention? Or has the continuing focus on the Sussexes become a distraction from the athletes and their achievements? And after the report suggesting some staff preferred a lower-profile event, do you think Meghan should return for future games or continue supporting the mission in a different way? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want more updates and in-depth discussions like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next upload.